All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So today we will be looking at EVN charging. Tesla pretty much did exactly as expected. Red, turned to green, right? But before we get into all that, let's just take care of some of the business, right? So what are we doing today? Same thing we always do, right? We're gonna look at the daily and the weekly to see what's setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we're done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. So, I mean, again, we've been talking about this literally for the last couple weeks, right? Red tends to turn into green, right? You know, I talked about me just personally being afraid of earnings. So I did exactly as I said, right? I sold the close before earnings were released after hours. They were definitely good earnings, and I actually looked at jumping in after hours. I think it was like right in the middle of me making another video, and I ended up waiting till the next morning. So I think I gave up around 6% because I think I bought at plus 10% the next day. Nonetheless, right, there was some good earnings. There was literally the entire fill, right? We said if it came here, it should break and hopefully come to here, which it did, right? I'll be honest, I actually thought it was going to come all the way up to here. I thought it would hit the 100 moving average, and really, if today delivered, it would have at least wicked it, right? My cat's at the door. I got to let her out. I'm so sorry. Come on. Get out of there. Hi. Okay, sorry about that. So why do I think it didn't hit? Really quickly, okay? If you did not watch my major market breakdown, NASDAQ, it was all about NASDAQ, so just 2 seconds, okay? It's been a very, very long time since we broke that 200, okay? Literally, we haven't even been over it since we lost it in January. This was the first moment we got over it. This day right here was under it. We closed at 512, and at the bottom you see the purple is 516, right? So this was the first day, and then clearly today did not break it, right? If that went up, I'm telling you, Tesla would have at least hit that. Honestly, if it went up, it might have even broke that and gone there. So look, I say it often, right? Stocks are only as good as the major market they're connected to. I mean, NASDAQ crushed it. Tesla did even better, right? So, and then we've literally done the job of filling that entire thing. So where are we right now? I'm actually a little bearish right now. So we've given up more than 50% candle. I'm definitely seeing this RSI saying, hey, it's time to cool off a little bit. Okay, MACD obviously looks real good, but you can kind of see it's starting to change the slope, right? It was super nice. It should have kept going like that, but now it's kind of teetering, right? So what do I see though? Am I like panic? No, honestly, I'm not. I think we've broken the 50. Hopefully we come down and either bounce on the 50 or, hey, maybe even on the 8 over the 50, maybe somewhere around here, right? Maybe a little under this dude. If not, maybe right around this dude, give or take. But yeah, look, again, beautiful profits were here, and literally it played out almost as expected. I say almost because I really thought it was going to go a little closer to that 200 line, but beautiful thing, right? And then look, this weekly is definitely on an important point, right? So we've talked about how bad it looked when it lost the 200, I'm so sorry, on the weekly. It's now back here, but we've seen the 20 be super pesky, right? So let's see how the 20 plays out. Let's see if this 200 actually closes out. Right now, we're actually under the 200, right? That would be a horrible way to end by Friday. So hopefully by Friday, at least over here, hopefully even over that. That would be real nice. But yeah, Tesla on the weekly, kind of, you know, it's in a hard place, and that kind of has me a little iffy for sure, you know? But one more time, there were such good profits here. I sincerely hope you may. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but hey, we've been hunting this. It looks like there might be a point. And look, this is exactly what I was talking about, right? We break the 20. We come down, and we don't even have to use the 20 as the bounce point. We use the 8 when it crosses it up, right? That is what I'm hoping for on the 50. Sorry, I know I said that like a minute ago, but I just saw that right there. But yeah, hey, can't be too sad at the bearish feeling because, again, it was good. So look, what's happening here? I mean, look, I say it so often, right? The spacing of these moving averages has a lot to do with how I consider an entry, right? And One, two, all five. I'm not even going to count them, right? You see all the different colors. They're all just a stone throw away from each other, right? And this is way too tight for my liking, okay? Honestly, if NASDAQ flew, it would have crushed this 200 and gone up, it being forward, obviously, right? With NASDAQ kind of turning away, this RSI is kind of taking a little bit of an interesting dive down. You know, it's funny, look at this volume, right? It never really cracked the 50 average. It pretty much got to it, got close to it, a couple times peaked over, but there was never a monster volume in really any of the January tradings, almost through the end of that fall right here, right? So just a little interesting on that. But yeah, look, you know me well if you watch these videos. I do not like trading in this. If it goes over this purple line and if it goes over all these, it could easily fly up and be beautiful. If it loses the bottom one, it can easily drop hard. It might even lose this and come pretty close to down here. Maybe this one, if I was to guess, I think 1180 might be the catch. Maybe even actually this, maybe closer to 1165. Actually, I think 1160, because look, it even hits right there. That's going to be our down point right there. So pretty much the top of that and bottom of that, give or take, right? So Ford, again, I've said this one often, right? It really likes it over the 8. It definitely goes horizontal. It does not like it under, likes it over, and then now it's just kind of caught in this horizontal. And look, you see it here. It wasn't a horizontal once before and fell hard, right? I don't want that to happen again here, but it's kind of seeming like it. So I am a little bit bearish, but it's definitely in the middle of the 5, and anything can happen in the 5, right? So just a little too hard to tell. You know, not a bad chart on the weekly, actually, right? We're definitely nice over the 8, looking like we're over the 20, but really this was not the confirmation that we wanted for this beautiful break of the 20, right? So just something to consider. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a horrible weekly, but look, real quick, 1, 2, all 5 lines are actually going pretty cluster horizontal on the weekly as well. So it actually looks like it's been in this for a quick minute. I don't even think I've actually noticed that, in all honesty. But yeah, it's pretty much going to the bottom, to the top, bottom, not as high up, not as high up. That has me worried. We might be losing this 200 if it actually does fall down. Be a little careful here. Be a little careful. I really don't like this weekly. I actually think I might have mentioned that on the last one too, right? Let me just, I don't even need to draw it. I'm sure you see it, right? But look, from the peak of here, we're going there. Yeah, I mean, that's a definite downtrend on that, right? So again, anything can happen in a cluster. You know, I don't like clusters on the daily, let alone the weekly, but Ford, interesting. Whoops. Hey, that's how you add indicators, by the way, on this thing. And look how many there are. Real quick, I have zero idea what Warden Stochastic is. I have no idea who Williams Alligator is, right? That literally says alligator? Jesus, right? I mean, look, we're only talking about a couple. You don't need to use all of these, let alone a fraction of these, to be dangerous, right? There's no other word for it. This is a good intermediate stack, I promise you. Not a lot of people know the 20, not a lot of people know the 8. These are fundamental for sure. This combination, if you know what to do with it, it's real good. And really the only difference between what we're looking at, the chart readers and the one, is just more. I have more indicators. I know how to use them. I'm not, you know, overwhelmed with decisions, but I still have the same, like, green is good, red is bad. You know what I mean? And one more time, for real, I probably know 2%, 1%. I don't even know how many are on here, right? I probably know like 8 of these, right? So, you know, I've talked about Bollinger Bands before. I got made fun of because I was calling them Bollinger, right? I'm going on a deep tangent, my bad, but yeah, just food for thought. Let's talk about MULN. All right, I mean, I don't even have to say it, okay? If you have been watching my videos, this has been all about the 100 moving average in blue. I've said nothing but that on every single last video, okay? And I'm telling you, right, this is not financial advice, but I'm not making these things up when I say them, right? It's very clear that we wanted to break it but failed. We had a really good bounce and should have flown but didn't, right? Do it again, and we have not had confirmation on this line, okay? Look, we've tried one, two. I mean, we've tried a number of times. This thing feels like it's like a piece of ice that's been chipped so much that it should break. But at the same time, it might just be this big giant that's getting really annoyed by all these pokes and it says F off and drops all of us, right? So just be so careful. This is a cluster of 4 out of 5 lines. I mean, I'm glad we're over the 8. I wish we were over the 20. Obviously, I wish we were over the 100. And clearly, we need 2 good days over the 100 because one day does not matter. One day does not matter. I don't care how good and full they are. I preach confirmation for a reason, all right? I really do. Trust me, I've lost good money not knowing confirmation. I definitely miss some gains, but again, nothing's safe, nothing's guaranteed, but it's a better position if you can wait and see the confirmation. But look, super, super tight, super tight. You cannot use these, okay? And actually, let's just be blunt. Red over green and red over green on both. So both of them are bad, right? You want green on top for both. So just straight up, they're bad, but they are definitely super horizontal. And then look, just a real mixed bag of buying and selling. But I will say, I'm just zooming in right here, okay? There's definitely been more buying than selling since at least, what, a little bit more than a week and a half, right? So, well, basically since last Thursday, because this is Thursday and Friday and then the full week, right? Oh, no, that's Monday, since last Friday. Yeah, so literally pretty much week to week, right? This day is less than this, but we'll say these two cancel out. We'll say these two cancel out, and these two are way more than this. So volume-wise, I guess I'm at least a little happy. And actually, no, I'm not going to say anything too much, but it kind of seems like it's rising a little bit. I can't tell if it's going away. I feel like there's a little bit more spacing between that 200 million line. But again, you want volume average to go up. That just means, and then hopefully it's obviously buying more than selling, right? But one more time, because there's nothing else really to say. Over the 100 moving average, MULN is king. Right now, under it, I mean, I'm telling you, there's better places for your money. I've been saying that this week. I've been saying that this week. I've been saying that this week, and I'm still saying that this week going into this week. Break the 100 and you're good. Under it, you're huge. Interesting. So there is a golden cross right here on the weekly. Again, all that might mean is we're just going to go kind of horizontal, right? But, I mean, just obviously so much red that wants to come literally to that, stay on that side. That horizontal right there, which pretty much launches with that, right? So, man, it'd be really interesting if the rest of this week just goes a little up, right? But, yeah, it all will be about this right here. And I don't have my phone, so I can't show you all 4 decimals. But, yeah, make sure you know what all 4 decimals are on that 100 moving average. Polestar. Okay, again, this was kind of the same story. And look, the one day we finally get more than that 3 million volume I've been asking for, it actually did make a nice little move, right? Again, I've been saying it. The technicals have been looking good here. However, there's just been no volume. And unfortunately, when you go as high as 6.5 million and then come as low as 2 million, you've literally given up 66% of the volume, okay? That's not a good thing. And today, that's a devastating candle, okay? We are now under every single line that we like slowly and meticulously gained, right? So that's incredibly scary. That goes with that really, again, it's still a little tight, but yeah, I'm seeing the RSI not looking good. I'm seeing the MACD get ready to not look good. This is a very scary candle. Tomorrow will matter a lot. The last thing I want to have happen is it to come this low. I can easily see it hitting 540, right? Because we're basically on that and roughly speaking on the top of that, right? 542, 543. So, man, There's nothing else I could say but that sound, really. And look, again, that 100 moving average is no joke. None of these lines are a joke, okay? Like, let's be real, right? Like, these have literally been struggling for a minute on these, right? For months after months after months after months after months, right? So they're not easy to break, and more so, they're not easy to hold, right? So good move, starting to go super, super horizontal. And again, anything can happen, right? You either violently fall down or violently fall up. I've said that often, right? So tomorrow's going to be big, but one more zoom in, we're under all of them. I don't even think I need to look at the weekly. Honestly, tomorrow should be super telling for this. Be careful. Please, please be careful here. All right, NKLA. I'll be honest, I actually made a little bit of a move on this. I didn't make that much money, but I did have some money in NKLA at some point. I know I actually moved it for sure. Was it this morning or Friday? I don't remember. But nonetheless, I made a move on this that didn't really plan out that well, but hey, whatever. They're not all like fantastic, right? What are we looking at right now? I mean, honestly, what I was looking at was this break of the 50. Okay, I really, really expected a lot more to happen. And I talk about this often. When you have this point when there's two, and then you very nicely gap up, that's probably what made me buy and where I probably tanked out on this thing, right? So I assumed this was just going to be a beautiful continuation. And again, you can see the gap up there. You can see the gap right there. You can see the nice volume right there. Again, that right there is probably my entry point. And again, I think I sold somewhere down here. Probably, maybe even on this day when it lost the 8. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe I don't remember. I know I have no money in this one right now. But yeah, one more time. Let me just actually go to affirm, because I know I just talked about it. Look, when you come to this and you bounce up, actually it doesn't do it as well as I thought, but yeah, that should be a good rocket for you, right? Actually, it kind of doesn't even go down here, right? But like, that's supposed to be a rocket point. It really is. And yeah, again, I'm here to tell you where I mess up, right? And I do call this a mess up. Knock on wood, I didn't lose that much money, right? I think, yeah, I know I lost some, but nothing silly. But yeah, there were places for me to know to get out. I at least knew once it lost the 8, I was out. It never lost these two lines. And again, I often say it, when you have 2 down here, you can use these as a better support than this, because it should be really hard to lose 2, right? But I know I got in hoping for a rocket. It just didn't happen, and really there were a lot of good places to have my money, right? And it was sad because this definitely froze up some good money. So hey, is what it is, right? And again, I try to talk about my mistakes and mess ups when they come, right? This is actually an interesting weekly, right? Because it looked like it was ready to actually battle and maybe take the 20, and then again, all those reds were so nice. And I'm telling you, all that got me a little greedy on the daily too. Like, all that is just true, right? But yeah, this one was disappointing to say the least. Rivian, same boat, actually. It looks like it's actually doing a little better. Oh, today sucked. Damn, horrible 9%. Oh, I didn't know that happened. That sucks. Because again, look at this. All that red will turn into green someday, right? Really, I'm going to set my alert right there at just under 20 bucks. Let me know when we break this candle. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a real nice play, at least to this line. But again, just all that makes me actually think that's not going to be much, and we'll hopefully come this way. But yeah, Rivian and NKLA were my 2 letdowns. I did pick NKLA over Rivian. Honestly, this one could have been picked as well, right? So, but yeah, again, this one's sad, and I didn't know that. And look, what do I especially not like? I hate that we lost more than this entire day, right? We closed well under it. And we're actually, you can, again, this is not a perfect place, right? But roughly speaking, we're at 50% of this and right around a little bit less than this one, right? So this was a pretty bad candle, definitely still over the 8. So hey, maybe the 8 tomorrow will be a bounce point, but yeah, I'm not liking that RSI at all. Interesting. Again, get over this candle, my ears will perk for sure. What does the weekly look like? not a great weekly, but hey, look, I talk about that like J pattern often, right? Backwards J, I guess, right? But red, 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 red wants to turn to green, 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 green on the daily, on the weekly, on the monthly. I promise it's all the same poo-poo. I almost said a bad word. But yeah, again, let's see what happens here. But I'm a little worried actually, so be careful with Rivian. Okay, a lot of noise about Saudi Arabia money, all right? I am not here to talk about politics. I don't care what they do. I don't care your opinions on them. The Saudis have a lot of money, okay? The Saudis probably control a lot of the global percentage, like money-wise, right? So if they're gonna move their money around, I mean, I'm telling you, that's you know I don't care about news. I'm a person that cares about lines. But I say it often, the right news can break lines or lose lines quickly, right? So knowing what the Saudis are going to do with their money is for sure super important, right? Definitely just a rumor, okay? Definitely nothing confirmed yet. And this is an interesting candle, okay? A couple reasons why it's an interesting candle. We're actually still technically over the 100. We're still well over 50% candle, right? 50% is like roughly right there, okay? And the volume drop wasn't, you know, don't get me wrong. We went from 215 to 114, right? Roughly speaking, we went from 200 to 100, lost 50% volume. You know, there were other ones where we've lost 66%, 80%, right? So a 50% drop isn't great by any means, right? I'm not trying to defend it, but yeah, it could have been more horrible, I guess would be the right word. So what am I looking for tomorrow? I want to bounce on that 100 line right there, right? I want to close over this line. And honestly, I actually want to know 1301. Let me know if we're over 1301, right? Because this day we closed 1287. Put me just right here. I'll be happy. Actually, I probably should have set my alert for 1308. Let me set another alert for, no, not 15, 1308, 1309. Let's do 1309. Again, an alert is not an immediate buy notification. It's definitely a, hey, come check out the charts real quick if you can, right? But what are we doing? We are beautifully riding the 8, right? I mean, noise aside, if this Saudi noise didn't happen, it actually might have been a little better for the stock because honestly, if you watch my videos, I like slow and steady, okay? Red filled, okay, before that even happened, right? So I'm cool with a slow and steady rise, right? And honestly, it really captured a lot of this red a lot quicker than it would have otherwise. And again, that's kind of why I'm saying I think the rumor might have killed the slow and steady, you know what I mean? And nonetheless, though, look, all of this has pretty much been captured, right? So we're roughly speaking at this horizontal now, and it's not as devastating anymore, right? Again, I love me some devastating drops when my money's not in there, because hopefully we'll catch the devastating up when my money's in there, right? So as much as it's cool that we're here, again, there's not a lot of, this is probably the next moment, right? A little closer to 20 bucks. Once 20 breaks, all right, yeah, that was a pretty devastating drop from 60. And on the contrary, it was a pretty easy flight. So like that pyramid should fill quickly. We just filled that pyramid, right? So hopefully that made sense. But yeah, obviously, I mean, one more time, I'm not here to talk politics with you. I'm not here to talk religion with you. I'm here to make money, okay? I don't want to say with you because this is not financial advice, but you know I want you to have some good days, right? It'll make me happy. I promise you it will. But again, this is not financial advice for sure. I got a little bit of time left, so I don't want to fly through these next ones, but let me speak where needed. Again, look, there are two lines right here, right? It's easier to break one, then run up to it, and then probably come down. This is where it was supposed to do a harder bounce up, not go parallel with the 8, right? I would have loved that, Okay. Nonetheless, look, we actually tried to get over that peak, right? And I talked about the NASDAQ this morning, right? If NASDAQ was good, it would have continued. It looks like it for sure would have, because again, we were able to get over that peak, right? So a little sad. At this point, my gut's kind of telling me I think we're coming back to down here, but one more time, ChargePoint did a good job. Red, filled to green, right? And again, exact same comments from the last one. It's super choppy there. That's a better one, but again, this kind of got in the middle of it, right? So, yeah, it gets a little noisier. Again, get over the 200 and obviously I'll be happier. Real quick, all 5 lines are right here, right? 1, 2, the green one's kind of right there, 4, 5. So this is technically a cluster of horizontals, but not a bad weekly. We just couldn't get over the 20, right? Get over the 20 on the weekly and that could be real good for sure, right? But again, I think it's more about just kind of going with this. And then I've said it a couple times, this one kind of moves like Tesla a little bit. So the fact that Tesla looks like it's slowing down, I kind of have a feeling that this one might be slowing down. Just something I've noticed from following these two. And then turning to NIO and LI, starting with NIO. Okay, so again, look, I've been monitoring 2 China ETFs. Both of them have actually been looking better than the US major ETFs. You know what I mean? The 2 look better than QQQ, SPY, and DIA. So a lot of the strength of those, actually there have been better ones than NIO and LI, but I mean, it's a good profit, right? These things definitely made a nice move. And then same thing we talked about with MULN, just couldn't get over that 100 moving average right there, right? So let me quickly look at LI, because like I said, I'm a little bit of a time crunch, sorry. 200 on the move, 200 moving average on the daily right here, 100 moving average on NIO. The 2 are definitely tied together, right? So the fact that they're both at a wall at the same time, gonna kind of tell you, you know what, neither's probably gonna break it, or you know what, they're both gonna break it violently, right? So kind of looks like the first one was the outcome, right? So look, this thing's done a pretty good job bouncing. It's actually bounced off of a couple different places, right? So let's see what happens. There's definitely 3 lines to support it before it falls down to potentially here. But yeah, these have me a little more worried than I would have expected. But again, you see it. We're on a lot of these are on a big test on the weekly is actually what it looks like. I mean, this one has 2 lines on the weekly, right? So that's just even harder. So NIO and LI, I kind of flew through those, sorry. If you have any specific questions on those, please throw them in the chats. Man, solo. Okay, this was in all-time lows. This definitely made a nice little move up. And you know, these 2 lines actually are not tight enough to call it a cluster, right? What really happened is, and I mean, look at it. It got to an RSI that was pretty high, 83, right? No offense, but I mean, this is a penny stock, right? This is definitely, it's now technically under $1. Most people will say anything under 5 is actually a penny stock, right? So, you know, an 80 RSI on a stock like this is definitely high, right? So I'm surprised it went as horizontal as it did, because honestly, I thought it would have fallen at that point. I thought it would have come here. So going horizontal is a pretty good accomplishment, actually. And I'd give credit to the 8 and the 50 right there. But I mean, again, this RSI looks like it wants to drop. The rest of the sector's not looking real good. So I think I'm starting to get a little weary. But I mean, come on. The amount of profit that was there, and really, you still have time to bank it if you haven't. How can you be upset, right? I mean, this is a beautiful month for a stock that was in all-time lows, right? I mean, red obviously turned to green, but I mean, really, the real story is this thing was at the lowest point ever by a lot. I mean, and it fell, right? So the fact that I at least was able to turn around a little bit, but yeah, I mean, the 20 is hard on the daily. The 20 is that much harder on the weekly, right? So it kind of makes sense that we are on this test right here. So, but one more time, yeah, how can you be mad? One more time, how can you be mad? LIDR did not do as well as the other ones, and this one also had that same amount of red. It just never did it, right? So this one's probably a little more disappointing than NKLA and RIVN, actually. Still actually looks like there might have been a little profit, just, you know, it's in the cent world, so it's not as loud, I guess. But again, it had that bounce. It kind of should have continued, but didn't, right? And again, it just goes back to, this is another one that was in all-time lows, definitely made a good little move, right? But yeah, all-time lows ain't where you want your money, right? You kind of want something making a move that's already a little better at least, right? So kind of expected, in all honesty. But yeah, a little sadder, I guess I would say. EVGO, exact same bucket, right? So let me go to the weekly. You can clearly see this was, especially on that line right there, hard drop, all-time lows. Again, a very good climb. Actually was able to get over the 8, unlike LIDR, the one that we just saw. That one could not get past the 8, but hitting the 20 just like Solo, right? So yeah, again, how can you be too mad here, right? This thing literally went to, I mean, this thing was living in an RSI of 75, high 70s for a good while, right? So, I mean, good for this thing, right? And it actually pretty much wicked the 100. You gotta love that. I mean, again, just keep things realistic. And I think it'll go a long way. But yeah, I mean, this thing made more than $2, right? On a $4 stock, that's a little more than 50%. How can you be mad? You shouldn't be, okay? Again, though, do I just think that this thing's going to continue? I don't. I think we're going to have to like cool down a little bit, right? But let's see what the NASDAQ does, right? Hopefully the NASDAQ just does a smaller cool down than a bigger one, right? But a lot of these little guys especially will be very NASDAQ dependent for sure. VLDR. Oh, look at this one. This one actually kept going. Interesting. I don't know if this one had good earnings, good news, but I'll at least say it real quick. Once it was able to break these two, it had a nice little bump. I know it doesn't look like much, but this was sub 1, and it actually got as close as 115. Yeah, 113, right? So that's just an easy 15% move on just breaking these two lines, right? So, and again, once it was able to get over this line especially, right? Because we've done it once. If you can do it that second time and better, that's kind of the game over here, right? But again, real good move up. Looks like things are about to cool down. A whole mess of volume drop. Look how significant that 50 moving average one. It went from almost in half. It went from over 3 million to just under 1.5 in what looks like days, right? So definitely, especially this right here, you can see that it's starting to add up for sure, right? But hey, volume's king, but I mean, good profits to be made for sure, for sure. And then last but not least is GTEC. Again, this is what's going to happen, right? When you have something that has no volume and then all of a sudden breaks some lines and gets good volume, right? This thing was down here and I mean the like low thousands, and then for a number of days jumps up to, again, 50,000 is not magnificent by any means, right? But that's 10x what it was consistently, right? So that's what helped fuels that. But again, if you can't get over the line, you're probably going to go parallel until you maybe lose it, right? A little interesting movement right here because, I mean, it is definitely technically over the line, right? But the volume is just simply too low to really make some good educated decisions. I would say if this thing can get over 262, that would be a real interesting play. And then obviously I have this 275 for here because that's another string that'll probably take you to right there. So again, as volume picks up a little bit, it'll be good. And really, it's kind of starting to already a little bit, right? So get me in the 100K over and things should be a little easier to read. But hey, I hope you're learning. I sincerely appreciate your time. Trade safely out there.